Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is I'm watching The Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 8.
Shadow and Flame.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was fine.
I liked it. I feel like I am at this point every single time. I'm making a moral decision to like this show.
Sure. Sure.
No, because I mean, there is the capitalism of it all, but no, we enjoyed Season 1. I think we enjoyed the start of Season 2, and I think it was some episodes in the middle where it kind of started to lose us. I like where we ended. I like that we were wrong and that we actually did go through and visit all of
everything
the plots
in the
this
finale.
episode.
Yeah.
I was a little bit afraid that we were just hard-footing.
Yeah.
I actually loved that. I mean, I enjoy the Harfoots, but I think a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
And
I loved that they were like teaching the stores how to migrate.
I like the store leader.
Yes.
Because we almost thought that she was a goner,
Jesus
but
Christ.
Basically Gandalf, it's Gandalf. And I'm fine with that. Some people are like, ooh, and I'm like, no, not everything has to be 3D chess in that regard. I always think of the thing that Evan Rachel Wood said about Season 1 of Westworld when people like figured it out, and she was like, it's about the journey.
Yeah, like, it was like the clues weren't subtle.
Yeah, we don't think not everything has to be a trick. And so like I think the Dark Wizard is Sauron. I just do. Especially,
he's not bad.
No, I understand. Yeah. He said he wasn't bad here either.
Well,
the DNA of a friend turned foe is all over that.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't buy it.
Well, so there's 5 wizards. There's gray, white.
I have no idea. There's
gray, white, brown, blue, and green, maybe. And I think much like L. Frank Baum's Oz, like RCA and Sony, like they don't really matter. It's sort of like
yeah.
Like I think the first 2 or like the first 3 are the only ones of any importance. So I think he's Saruman. And who is playing him? It was someone that you knew.
Kieran Hines.
Yeah. I love how bitchy and queeny so many of the men are in Lord of the Rings. It's my favorite part. And so he showed up, and I guess those amazingly badass things in the metal masks were like for hire, like assassins or like men for hire that the Dark Wizard hired to find the Harfoots.
Yeah.
And he seemed mad that they were treating them poorly.
Yeah.
And he clarified that he's not dark, that's just something the humans said because they're afraid of him, because they're afraid of things they don't know. But then he proceeded to be evil.
Yeah. Which is why, like, because, okay, again, I've not read a lot of the supplementary stuff, but it's like, Sauron he gets taken under by Sauron in the Lord of the, like, during the course of the Lord of the Rings. So
I understand that. Yeah. I still think that's what we're.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, egg all over my face.
I think that's what we're doing.
In 3 to 5 years when we get Season 3.
Start weeping. That's my theory. But yeah, so he was like collapsing in the canyon on the stores, and then Gandalf saved them. And I don't know, I like it. I like the Gandalf. I like this guy.
Well, I also like that I was actually sort of here for, because it didn't actually clock until whichever one of you said it, but they were calling him Grand Elf. And I was just like, you know what? 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine.
Like I said, I like this actor. He's like grown on me.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've even done that thing, which all shows do, and it's my favorite, how it's like, whenever a show starts, you know that you can tell that they're always going for like authenticity. And then by like Season 4, they're just in full glamour makeup and stuff. So he's like a little bit more handsome and a little less dirty.
He's got a blowout going. Like, Tom Bombadil had a range of products for him to use.
And so it was like the Tom Bombadil's weird like advice from the previous episode. I don't fully remember.
He was like, if you go after Nori, you can't ever come back and do this part.
And it was like a test or like a lesson that he needed. You wouldn't have believed me. He needed to learn the hard way that he had to choose.
Glitter, bitch.
He had to choose friendship over duty.
Power specifically. Yeah, because his duty is to Nori. Yeah.
And so he is still taking wizard lessons from Tom Bombadil. They were singing a song, you know. I said while we were watching it, I was like, considering that I have never liked a single character Rory Kinnear has played, I do respond so positively towards him.
I literally was about to be like, well, what about Penny Dreadful? But we fucking hated him in Penny Dreadful.
Will was the only one that liked Caliban.
Yeah.
Was that his name?
Yeah. He was awful.
He was just lecturing everybody for 3 fucking seasons.
Awful. I was just trying to go and see, like, and I was like, yeah, no, he's terrible in everything. His character is there because he played Winston Churchill in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. He's the prime minister in The Diplomat, which he's like useless. He was the captain and the admiral in Our Flag Means Death, and they were both terrible. And he was in Men, and every single character
man.
he was, and that was bad.
Throw the whole gender away.
I guess like No Time to Die, like the Bond movies, because he's just like he's like an MI5 like lackey kind of, but like holy hell, yeah.
I don't know. It was very, and I like I said, Tom Bombadil has always been a slight enigma to me, and I guess that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the places where I think the show succeeded.
Sure. That
was apparent, and I felt it. I didn't necessarily mean to start there because the show started with King Durin mining, and he broke through and got to the gorgeous Mithril,
so
like
pretty
canyon or like cave system or whatever, and the Balrog was there,
and it woke up.
Was awesome.
Yeah, it was. I in fact exclaimed, "This is rad."
It was really really rad. But we're done.
Yeah, I don't know. It like King Durin went after it, and then it killed him.
I enjoyed what I was watching.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised because like King Durin, I mean, it's by design that I was going to say I don't like him. He's been annoying the whole time, and that's intentional. But the scene really worked for me with the arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And how he like took the ring off and then admitted that he was like, I wasn't letting you win. You were getting stronger.
Yeah.
Like, you were winning yourself. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought that was so great. I'm not entirely sure why he sacrificed himself to the Balrog.
Maybe he knew he was like already too far gone or something.
And so because it killed him, it's tired and going back to sleep? Or it's no longer hungry? Or I'm not sure. I enjoyed watching it so much that I'm not hellbent on pulling at the threads.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I fully got what happened.
Well, I don't also know like the lore-based...
Well, they did such a good job establishing it.
Yeah.
With like where it came from, with the fighting the elf and the Mithril and all that. I don't know. It was a lot of build-up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed those 5 minutes, so I'm not going to grill it much past that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know the lore-based, like, motivations of the Balrog in order to be like, no, yeah, he just needs 1 dwarf per century, and now he's good. Like, you know, yeah.
So yeah, but King Durin is dead, and they don't know what they're going to do with the throne, because I guess other dwarves, there were other dwarf kingdoms.
Including Durin's brother.
Who we don't think we've seen.
No.
But I don't like him.
I don't
like him at all. And Disa let her hair down, and it was amazing.
So long and pretty. And she got a new outfit, too.
Finally.
Yeah.
So, and then there's like a third dwarf that's kind of been around. He was there with them. And I'm curious what happened to like her hand. She had like a handmaiden at one point, and I don't know. It's fine. So, that feels like, oh, well, the dwarves, so the battle was raging on in Eregion, and the orcs were winning. Galadriel got a bunch of the elves and the Borzoi out.
Thank God that little Borzoi made it. It was so cute too.
And she did get caught by the orcs, but she turned herself in.
Yeah.
And they
brought her to Adar.
Yes.
Who was wearing her ring, and it fixed his face.
So we forgot to mention that part, because we criticized the CG on his face in the last episode, and my guess is it had to have been a continuity error somewhere.
I suspect it was reshoots, and they just didn't want to get him all in that makeup again.
Well, my guess is maybe they saved the revelation that the ring prettied him, and so maybe he was pretty when they were filming that scene. I don't know. There was like 3 shots where they digitaled his face ugly, with the scars. And
it was so flat. There was no texture to it at all. It was awful.
It was glaring. Yeah. It's like that scene in Beauty and the Beast where the beast becomes human.
Yeah.
Because have I ever told you that there's a reason? Because it's like famous that all the children in our generation hate it.
Yeah. In the animated?
Yeah, it wasn't colored properly.
Oh.
It was like a last minute edit or like a last minute tweak or something, and it had only gone through like 2 of the 3 layers of coloration it needed, and that's why he looks weird. Is the shading isn't correct?
That's funny.
And it's like fine, but it's like uncanny. Like our lizard brains are like, ah!
No, thank you. That TikTok comedian that I like, Stanzi Potenza, she did a like Beauty and the Beast thing, and it's like after he turns human, and she's like, oh, and he's like, well, you meant it. You meant that you loved me, or else this wouldn't have happened. So like, what? He goes, oh my god, you liked the. And she finally was like, can we like compromise on a beard? And he's just like, you know what? Fine. Like,
well, they did the beard thing in the live action with Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Because then he growled, and he still had like a lion voice. And
yeah,
it was weird. Let's talk about that movie.
No,
we actually already have. If you want to watch, we'll link to it. That's like back when we just started on video.
I'm also like sick of talking about it. It's not very good, and it's like.
So, yeah, but actually before that, and it's pertinent information. Anatar/Sauron tortured and killed Celebrimbor. It was brutal.
While it was happening, I looked it up to see if that was how it happened, and it was like he was killed by Sauron in the like text. So, but I don't know how. I didn't look that deep into it. Was
a Game of Thrones episode.
Yeah, like Will even was like, okay, Joffrey. It was
I don't
bad.
know, but I mean, I didn't like it, but I don't know. I kind of liked it.
I do also love that Celebrimbor just like. He was like, yeah, what about it?
I do, yeah, I like that he died proudly.
Yeah.
I was sort of an unwitting or I didn't, going in, I didn't realize that I was going to be such a Celebrimbor stan. And like knowing what I know, that totally checks.
Yeah.
But I'm just sort of like, aw.
Well, the actor's great. What's his name? Like Charles something?
Mm-hmm.
Charles.
Well, I mean, I know that I've literally said everyone was gay coded, but I feel like he was the gayest, codiest of
Charles Edwards,
the gay coding, and so I just was sort of like, but what about the like Palm Springs gays? Like, he would go to Trixie Motel, like
he would go to Trixie Motel.
And it was long and it was torturous.
Yeah.
Like when he was like the arrow.
arrow.
And then he like ran him through and like thrust him up.
Yeah.
And I didn't at all make several inappropriate jokes about being impaled.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess
there was actually a decent amount of Sauron metaphorically
penetrated.
Literally impaled, metaphorically penetrated several people in this episode, including Glug. Glug the orc, the single dad who works 2 jobs.
When he showed up, they said his name because I've just been calling him Hooligan Orc because I saw the actor and he has that vibe. He was going around London taking pictures with the billboards.
Amazing.
And so I was like, oh, I now am endeared to you. And so literally when he showed up, they said his name. And I was like, oh, Glug. And then like a minute later, they killed him. And I was like, not Glug! This fucking show, anytime that I decide that I like a character, they're like...
Yeah.
So yeah, Sauron made his case to the. I can't remember if I actually ever said it on camera, but I did like his plan where it was like he needed the orcs to be his like slaves, and he needed Eregion destroyed, and I like how he tricked them into doing that.
He tricked all sides.
Yeah, I think that was really clever, and that. Of all the places that I criticized the show, if it didn't have a handful of places where it like had things very cleverly locked down, I would have jumped ship.
Sure. And
especially now that we've seen the whole season, it sort of, in my opinion, retroactively earns some of the parts that I was like, I didn't love that.
Sure.
It's your whole like Game of Thrones thing where you're like, I would love to rewatch it, but I just don't want to because I know I don't like the end.
Yeah. And
so I'm sort of like, I can sit through stuff I don't love if I know that I like where we end up.
Of course, yes. That's how I've rewatched Buffy forever, where it's like there's horrible, sad, tragic, terrible stuff that happens, but it's like I love everything around the terrible, sad, horrible, tragic.
Well, and this show just has so many things going for it in ways that are very personal. Like, I mean, this show has more than a passing familiarity with color, you know, because we are just so, everything has such a flat, washed out color palette for like the last 10 years.
Millennial grayish, I'm telling you.
And this show was so vivid and so vibrant. And like, I truly love looking at it, warts and all. So I guess Sauron made his case to the orcs, and they went with it, hook, line, and sinker,
and Caesared the crap out of Adar.
Yeah, Adar always confused me, and to be honest, I liked him. I think I liked him more than I realized. And I'm kind of bummed to have lost him.
Him and Celebrimbor, I'm actually like pretty bummed. They're both dead.
It's the kind of thing that's like, I'm fine with them dying, but I feel like it happened sooner than I think it should have, not knowing what the next 3 seasons. They claim that it's going to be the 5, because now I'm in a place of, are you sure you don't want to just 3?
3 and out?
Pull a Fantastic, well, this is better than Fantastic Beasts, so I'm not going to, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, I don't know. He was actually trying to free the orcs and like show them, you know, a better way, and he had even sort of like proposed to Galadriel, and he was beautiful with the ring and all that.
And then he freely gave it back to her too, which was interesting. She roundhouse kicked Sauron.
It was so cool.
It was amazing.
All 3 of us.
Yeah. Whoa!
Wait, because it was like, I mean, she's been like badass warrior for the whole time, but I think some of it, especially in that like first episode, was a little too girl boss Mary Sue, hi-ya, like Charlie's Angels.
Well, also like very Cop of the French Braid too.
And that had weight. Like, you almost saw his face.
It was
like,
funny.
she made. And like,
so basically she realized she was gonna lose, essentially, and so he took the 9 rings, which we also made several inappropriate jokes about that, and then she kept her ring and then fell her own way.
I thought she was gonna toss it, but she
went with it. Oh, that's when he penetrated her with his crown.
Oh, okay. I want Dark Galadriel. It's one of my favorites, and I feel like we have to get it. That's such a thing, like such an ace in the back pocket. And I started doing that thing where I was putting the cart in front of the horse, where I was like, oh my god, it would be so cool if she actually, because I thought when he stabbed her that it was going to get in her, and like she was going to turn dark, and I was like, I could do a full season
of dark,
of her like betraying good and being dark and then having to come back around, because it makes that scene with Frodo so much more powerful to know that she actually
has overcome it before,
or like to know that she, because I feel like the way it's presented is sort of like it's a temptation, but it's like to know that she's actually done it. I don't know. I feel like I would like that. I feel like we could get that. There's a free idea, writers, if you're watching. But based on where we ended, I don't think that's where we're going.
No, I think she's a little too righteous.
That she is. And I like I said, I have come fully around on her, and it does help that she's also canonically kind of awful. Because when she was out, like, healing Gil-galad was like, I don't know, that's the best time I've ever spent with you.
I've never known you to be so peaceful, basically. Amazing. So funny.
We did lay eyes on Isildur and Theo again, barely.
They had a nice talk about their moms.
Isildur, well, I wrote down Isildur is Theo's new dad.
Sure. Well, Arondir's not there. He's back with his elves.
And although I did like that. I did love getting all the elves together. It was... and I think that was part of our frustration in the middle, where we were like, what are we doing? And now I'm like, okay, this.
I understand.
This is what we're doing.
I understand now.
And Isildur, and what's her name? Inya?
Something like that, The, like... I would have to go back a couple episodes because episode 8 doesn't have the, like...
Yeah, she's fine. Apparently they're a love for the ages. I'll allow it.
Well, okay. These fucking yahoos in Numenor. I absolutely can't. Estrid. So the fucking...
Kremen. Is that his name? I keep calling him that.
Kemen. He goes across the sea to where they're all... in this, like, dilapidated town. And he literally has an oh shit moment when he sees Isildur because he's like, your sister's gonna be so glad. Oh god, crap. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And then he threatened to cook and eat his horse. Barrack.
That horse is not going anywhere.
No, Barrack is...
If the horse dies anytime after now,
we ride.
Absolutely not.
We ride at dawn.
I feel like somehow in my heart of hearts, I feel like that horse is like an ancestor of Bill the Pony. So like, no, it's a no for me. Regardless, yeah, so he basically was like, you're all enslaved to cut down the trees, and they're only trees, am I right? And I was just like... Obviously not at this point.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so then everybody who's like a believer, so Pharazôn has decided that obviously Sauron tricked the sea monster into saying that Muriel is good. So
which actually
treason.
Not to devil's advocate too much, but I think that's the same sea monster that encountered Halbrand and Galadriel, yeah. So he could have glamored it.
There's no way. Sure. Regardless, she's treason. Everybody that supports her is treason. The daughter is still being like,
she's trying to play
half and half, and it doesn't work. And I'm just like, you can't love and try to save your father that hard and still be like building his very downfall at every turn. It doesn't work character-wise. You
cannot love and get along with people and then do everything in your power vote against them and against their interests and stuff. You cannot support a political regime that wants to kill your family and just say, but can't we all get along? I know a lot of people want it that way. It doesn't work that way.
So yeah, they were doing a lot of nailing things to people's doors and dragging people out of their beds in the middle of the night, and it was just very
And it was maybe set on fire, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. So Elendil got out, and he's trying to
he tried to have Muriel come with him.
Yeah, and she refused.
And
so she's standing trial at the very end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the, what's the sword's name?
Narsil.
So
that's in play.
We were all like, oh, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. When my husband literally goes, I'm so mad. He was like, that's the only reason that we're here.
The Numenor stuff. I don't like it plot story-wise. I like it because I like looking at it.
Yeah.
It gives me that, like, Atlantis. I feel like I'm in, like, Greek mythology in a way that I'm like, yes, I just want to look at it.
Yeah. So he says he knows a boat person, a ferryman, that will take them away. So that's what he is apparently doing, to go find another of his sons. And then presumably, hopefully, some point in season 3, he'll stumble upon Isildur again as well. I would write the daughter off completely. Just, okay, bye. I hope you have a good time. But yeah, that's where we kind of left off with that. But they were, I think they're going to be literally ships passing because they're taking Isildur back to Numenor. Which sucks. Yeah.
Because I said Isildur is going to be like Troy, like Donald Glover in the darkest timeline of Community.
What's happening? But he had to leave then Estrid behind, who apparently is ill at the thought of marrying her fiance now that she knows what true love is.
It's fine.
What?
It's fine.
So yeah, that was a very tearful goodbye as well.
I think that was
that was pretty much it. I think, yeah. Everyone is on the next part of their
because Gil-galad, I mean, he fought and won.
Yeah, he made a big speech at the end. Ooh, you big speech. I'm so punchy. Also, I'm still thinking about, we got Taco Bell in between, like, while we were watching episode 2, and I have never had a Baja Blast before, and so I got one, and it was terrible.
She was very fixated on it. She was very...
It's always sounded so good. I don't believe any of you people who say it's good. It tasted like chemicals.
You wanted ocean water from Sonic.
I did want ocean water. I bet that is what it is. I was like, it looks like ocean water from Sonic. Now I need an ocean water from Sonic. Anyway, so...
There's a Sonic on my way. I could bring you one.
Ooh. Don't threaten me with it. But yeah, so it was just... He made the big speech at the end, and he just was like, we'll fight! And then there's like 40 assorted elves down at the bottom, and they all were like...
Borzoi.
Yeah! There's like children down there, too.
So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a bit... Not to be a broken record, but my biggest hurdle is the fact that you're right. It's going to be like 2 or 3 years from now. 2 if we're lucky.
Yeah. This was 2 from season 1. So it's but it's going to be 2026, fall 2026 if we're lucky. And I'm like, no, you should already be filming season 3 right now so that it comes out next fall or Christmas at the latest.
That's the kind of, because it was a summer show, I think, the first year.
Was it?
No, it was a fall. It was fall. It was fall both years. Yeah, because I was gonna say it's one that it's like if it wanted to do a year and a half, I'd allow it.
Sure.
Like I would watch this in December and January.
Sure.
But Lord of the Rings always has an autumnal feel to me because we do our marathon in Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I stand by everything I've ever said. Mm-hmm. I wish the writing was a little bit stronger. Although I think the writing was better in these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, some parts of it were for sure.
Oh, either that or I just was. Things were happening. Yeah. It didn't feel like they were biding their time.
Well, that's the thing. It's like even if the dialogue is clunky or thin or anything, if actual things are happening, it is less glaring when when you're just like stating your motivation out loud. You're just like, well, yeah, I can see that you're doing that.
And I think my thing is it's like, as someone who purports to like fantasy, very rarely do I get fantasy that I like. Yeah. And this is doing so many of the things that I ask for that, again, like I said, I feel a duty. Like I feel like a duty to support it, to prop it up, because I want more like it. And I think it is capable of goodness, if not greatness. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yep.
So,
well, I'll definitely be here for season 3, maybe.
Okay. Well, that was our coverage of season 2, and we've got Dune Prophecy coming up. Stay tuned. November, we're going all in on Wizard of Oz. We're gonna do Return to Oz. We're gonna live stream and build the Emerald City Lego set while we watch the Wizard of Oz.
We're
gonna do Wicked, Muppets Wizard of Oz. So stay tuned there. If you want to head on over to our Patreon, we're doing all 5 Final Destination movies. They have been a hoot.
Oh my god!
Each one Final Destination-ier than the previous. So we've got things coming down the pipeline. Teen Wolf is finishing. True Blood season 3 is filmed and it should be coming soon. And we're getting to Queen Charlotte and Interview the Vampire because people are asking. It's coming. It's on the schedule.
And then not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we had many requests to cover the Vampire Diaries, and so we will.
It's on,
shortly.
It'll be next year when it's happening.
Shortly after the new year, we will be covering season 1 of The Vampire Diaries. So keep your eyes out for that.
I put it in the Teen Wolf. Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I at first I was like, why are so many people asking about The Vampire Diaries in this Teen Wolf episode? But then I watched it and I realized.
So, okay. Like and subscribe.
Bye.